This is a game I've had my eye on since its announcement, and the demo that launched earlier this year immediately sold me on the game. Ruffy and the Riverside is an action-adventure platforming puzzle game where you swap textures in the environments to solve puzzles, and it should be on your radar if it isn't. I'm not the biggest fan of puzzle games, I'm pretty bad at them in fact, but when I see a game with a really unique concept like this one, I have to try it. Plus, the art style is really colorful and it blends 2D and 3D gameplay, so it became one of my most anticipated games this year. And I actually got a chance to play it early, so thank you to the devs at Zoc Labs and the publisher Fifen Games and Keymailer for providing me with this reviewed copy. I was waiting for a very long time to play this, and I'm happy to say it's good. I enjoyed it and I had a fun time, so let's start with the gameplay. Despite its very kid-friendly appearance and dialogue, it's actually a challenging game. Using your ability to swap textures to help you solve puzzles is how they market it, but it's actually more complex than that. One of the introduction puzzles will have you change the texture of 3 stone boxes to wood, cause wood floats in water and you can then run across those boxes to the next island. However, I opted to take ice and swap the texture with the entire ocean to freeze it just so I could run across instead. And this is the first thing I like about the game. It requires you to think outside the box and you can test what works and what doesn't. You can really swap anything. You can copy and paste textures and materials, but you also have to think about those materials' weight. Change a platform into wood because it'll float on water, but wood is also too light when trying to activate switches. But it'll also burn if there's lava around. So you mix and match with the other materials you can find, like stone, metal, or straw, to see which works best. But it's more than just textures. You can swap colors, numbers, shapes, and directions. Yes, even directions. It's a clever little game and I was very entertained by it. The puzzles are challenging, but they're the highlight, which is a good thing. I've played some puzzle games where it's not clear what they want you to do or what the solution is, but I found after some trial and error it becomes pretty apparent what the solution is here. And what I later realized is the solution to a puzzle is always in the vicinity, so sometimes I really just needed to look around. There was only one puzzle I got stuck at for more than 20 minutes. I can't explain the feeling to you of being stuck in a puzzle game, and I can't Google or find the solution on Reddit because literally no one else in the world has played it yet. Pretty frustrating stuff, but I solved it eventually. The answer is always to think outside the box for the solution. Just get into that habit if you're gonna pick this game up. The demo just had you go from world to world solving puzzles, so that's kind of what I expected, but to my surprise, the game is more than just puzzles. It's an open world platforming adventure game. So for the Nintendo fans who like those older Mario and Zelda games, this is right up your alley. It's very clear where the inspiration for this game came from. There's the big open world area, and you can venture into smaller worlds via gates with different biomes and environments. I wasn't a Nintendo kid, so for me this feels more like a PS2 game, and I mean that in the best way. The platforming segments that remind me of Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, and the Pac-Man Adventure World games. You're running through an obstacle course in the jungle, playing Temple Run, jumping from platform to platform in a river while avoiding hazards, and rolling around on a giant ball that freezes the ocean while avoiding tornadoes. It feels very nostalgic playing these kinds of segments in the game, and I really enjoyed it. But Ruffy's moveset is also inspired by these older games. There's the stomp, the classic jump and glide, a punch, and you can charge up to do this very familiar looking tornado spin attack.
Whoa!
While I was very lukewarm about exploring the big open world area at first, that's when they introduced my favorite part of the game, the hay bales. You can ride these hay bales around to traverse the map instead of running everywhere, and you use them for grind rails. When last did you play a game that had grind rails? But that's not all, you can kinda channel your inner Tony Hawk and use them on the ramps as well. Or you can even race with them, but unfortunately there's not that many races. Plus, the game's theme song plays whenever you jump on one of these, so that's a bonus point for me, because I love this game's theme song. In terms of content, the story took me 11-ish hours to beat, but there's 10 side quests for you to complete on top of that, and apart from the main worlds you're exploring, there's lots of smaller puzzles scattered everywhere and doors to unlock. These will reward you with collectibles, and there's a ton of these items for you to find. Normally, I hate collecting stuff in games, but I kind of like the challenge they provide you with here in figuring out how to get to them, so it still felt pretty rewarding. However, the weirdest / coolest thing is that you can actually paint the world. I know the game's theme was, about imagination and creativity, but they literally put that in your hands. You can paint and change the textures of everything in the game, so for the artists out there, you can reshape this world and color it however you see fit. Speaking of the story, let's dive into that. You play as Ruffy with your sidekick, and you're tasked with saving the Riverside after the antagonist attacks and destroys the town sign that's linked to a power stone keeping the world safe. So you go around from world to world getting the letters that spell out the name Riverside to replace the destroyed ones on the hill. Yeah, that's basically the story without a ton of spoilers. Like I said earlier, the game's appearance and dialogue are very kid-friendly. So while I'm not really a fan of these super cute and cozy, the power of friendship saves the day type of vibes, I'm not gonna say the story's bad. I think it's just more so it didn't appeal to someone like me. Look at the games on my channel, they're pretty dark and gritty. But taking it at face value, the story was okay. There was some twist which was somewhat of a surprise. However, these characters can do a lot of talking, sometimes more than I could tolerate. I don't mind doing a lot of reading since the game isn't voice acted, but sometimes the characters can just go on and it's not really relevant to the story. However, if you're impatient like me, I wouldn't suggest skipping dialogue because that's where they give you hints on puzzles or where you should go next. Now, there's only 3 things about this game I didn't like. Once you're free to go into the worlds and explore and do the puzzles, the game is really fun, but I think the intro drags on just a little bit too long. They hold your hand longer than they should. The second thing is these 2D puzzles on the walls. They're my favorite type of puzzles. The art style and the music changes. It's cute. It's great. I love them. To access them though, you need to solve these puzzles, and the hints they gave you to solve them make no sense to me. Maybe I'm stupid, I don't know, but the hints did not make them any easier to understand, and I didn't like them. But luckily, you can just pay to have them tell you the answer, so that's what I did every time. But yeah, it's not really a case of make the hints easier, it's more make the hints make sense. And the last thing I didn't like was after a boss fight, you're teleported to another level and you just swap colors for like 10 to 15 minutes. No puzzles or anything, you're just copying colors and throw them at a moving object around you. It's not fun. I think the mission overstays its welcome and I didn't like it whatsoever, but the good thing is there's only one level like this, so when that's done, the game immediately goes back to being fun. So final thoughts, I think it's a pretty unique game. I love the hand-drawn art style and how they blend 2D characters in a very colorful 3D world. The swap mechanics and puzzles are challenging and engaging. It's a nostalgic feeling game, but with snappier controls and better graphics than the older games it's inspired by. The intro is a bit long and the characters can talk a lot, but the story is okay. But the gameplay and puzzles are the real star of the show here. Also, a quick mention to the music, it's really good and I do hope they put it on Spotify eventually. And lastly, to the devs, if you see this, please, if you're taking ideas, I will throw $10 to $15 your way if you do a Hey Bill DLC with like 10 racetracks and reverse variants and some more Tony Hawk ramp minigames with maybe a leaderboard or something. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you were thinking about getting this game, I can 100% recommend it. It's pretty fun. I can easily see this becoming a franchise, and I do hope it gets a sequel or maybe a DLC because I want more. Thanks again to Zoclabs and Fifen Games for the review key. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.